Sir, I am...
Henry of Skalitz, from the garrison of the royal hetman, Sir Radzig Kobyla. I've heard a lot about you, my son. I'm pleased to meet you.
Bishop Yaroslav? Sir? My lord, to what do I owe your interest in my humble self?
I was told you survived the massacre in Skalitz and warned the Talmberg garrison. You tracked down the raiders of a stud farm in Neuhof, wasn't it? To their hideout in the woods. And then you led Sir Radzig and his armed company there and joined bravely in the skirmish, and even killed their notorious leader by your own hand. And I believe you have many other deeds to your name. That's quite remarkable, considering your age, is it not?
Well, you're too kind, Monsignor. I'm just trying to do what's right, and what's needed.
Quite rightly, too, my son. I expect we'll be hearing more about you, but I assume you didn't come here to exchange pleasantries. Or am I mistaken?
No, Monsignor, you're quite right. I'm here about Johanka.
Naturally. I'd be quite surprised if it were otherwise. So, tell me what's on your mind.
How did you find out about Johanka?
Word came to me of what was happening here, that some young girl was claiming to speak for the Blessed Virgin. I traveled here immediately, as my duty demanded, and observed events in Sasau incognito, in order to examine the matter at first hand.
I see. Why did you have her imprisoned?
Because she broke the promise she made to me, and persisted in actions that bear the signs of heresy.
And what will happen to Johanka now?
I must weigh the gravity of her transgressions and investigate these alleged visions of hers. I consider it very improbable that she is indeed being visited by the Blessed Virgin. Nevertheless, I cannot at this time rule it out entirely.
So you think it could be true? In that case, Johanka hasn't done anything wrong.
It's not that straightforward. Even if her vision is at fault for interpreting them as she saw fit and preaching to the people.
When will you decide, Monsignor?
As soon as I am fully informed of the facts, although it seems the matter is a little more complicated than I first thought. I will call Johanka and the witnesses, question them, and then pronounce a verdict.
And will there be anyone there to defend Johanka?
Do you doubt my judgment?
I would never be so bold, sir. But surely it would be only just that someone should speak for Johanka about all her good deeds and so forth?
Naturally, I'll also question those who would speak in her defense. Since you are interceding, I expect you have someone in mind?
Yes. Actually, me.
As I surmised. But this matter does not directly concern you. Why should I allow you to appear before the court?
Please, Monsignor, let me defend Johanka. I grew up with her in Skalitz, and I know she's a good girl who has no bad intentions.
No, Henry. Johanka must answer for her own actions.
Johanka is my neighbor, and I have a Christian duty to come to her aid. I can't just stand by and do nothing.
You've done your duty by coming forward. That's enough.
I serve the royal hetman, and his interests are mine. To see justice done in this province and to quell unrest.
Laudable, no doubt. But bear in mind that Lord Kobyla is a secular governor, and this matter is subject to church law, in which he has no jurisdiction. On those grounds, I must refuse your request.
Please, let me defend Johanka. She deserves it. If you do, I'll make a donation to the church, to show that my intentions are sincere.
Thank you for your donation, my son. I will see to it that the money is used to help those in need. Your concern seems sincere, so I will grant your request. Very well. You will defend Johanka. You may speak in her defense if you so wish, and you may also bring witnesses. I will question any such witnesses, and naturally I shall question Johanka too.
Thank you, Monsignor. In that case, I'll need to speak to Johanka first.
That won't be possible. It's forbidden by the Inquisition procedure. Until the entire matter is resolved, Johanka can speak only to me and no one else. I would like to expedite the matter. The trial will take place in Sassaw Church in 3 days' time at the latest. Come and let me know when you're ready to proceed. In the meantime, I will continue my investigation.
Very well, Monsignor. I had better get on with it then, sir. Farewell.
Before you go, you know Johanka longer than anyone else. You spent a lot of time with her, as I've discovered. Tell me, my son, truthfully, what do you think of this whole affair?
Johanka is an honest girl and virtuous. She's a good Christian who attends church and thinks of others.
Good. Please continue.
Johanka helped a lot of people. She worked her fingers to the bone helping Brother Nicodemus with the sick and injured.
That is certainly commendable. What else can you tell me about her?
About the Virgin Mary? I believe the Virgin does visit her. Johanka is honest. She wouldn't lie about such a thing. And the things she says sound truthful and compelling. It really does seem like a heavenly revelation. Who else could it be from but the Virgin Mary?
The origin of these so-called visions of hers must be investigated. But thank you for your candor. Is there anything else you can tell me?
Well, before, in Scala. I never imagined I'd hear her talking the way she does now. She's completely transformed.
A simple village girl. I see. Do continue.
She's worried about Matthias. He's from Skalitz too, and she's very fond of him. But he was wounded in a raid on Merhojed recently, and since then he's been lying in a fever. Johanka believes that if she does what the Blessed Virgin wants of her, Matthias might be healed.
Interesting. Anything else?
I can tell you.
Is that really everything?
Maybe. She didn't treat everyone equally. She took better care of her former Skalitz neighbors than of the other patients, of course.
It's understandable, yes. Some people are dearer to her than others, but whether by doing so she sinned. Anything else, Henry?
That's about all I can tell you.
Thank you, my son. One more thing before you go. Let me remind you that it's your Christian duty to report anything suspicious going on concerning the Church and the true faith, if you're aware of anything of the sort in these parts. If you prove yourself a commendable servant of the Church, I would also take that into account in judging Johanka's case.
All right, Monsignor. I'll bear that in mind.
Take care now.
Brother Nicodemus.
You've heard something?
The Inquisitor has decided that Johanka will be tried, but he's agreed that I can defend her.
That's really quite unusual. It must mean he hasn't come to a clear conclusion yet.
Yes. I'll get her out of it.
I'm afraid it may not be that easy. The thing is, I expect Johanka will say the same things before the court that she's been preaching.
What are you saying?
Well, I've been thinking about what she's been saying, and it seems to me her preaching has a certain progression. Are you acquainted with the notion of the three orders of man?
Not really, no.
It's like this. It's said that everyone has their God-given place and purpose on earth. Laboratores, oratores, and bellatores. Those who work, those who pray, and those who fight. The common folk are born to work, to reap the fruits of the earth and to obey the laws of God and man. It is the purpose of the nobles to protect the people and the church against all dangers and to maintain peace and justice on earth. And the church in turn has the task of caring for the spiritual welfare of all, ensuring the salvation of their souls and bringing solace to the people in times of hardship, so that they can endure their earthly trials and enter the kingdom of heaven.
But what's all that got to do with Johanka?
Well, I noticed in her first sermon she primarily addressed the concerns of the common folk, and in the second she criticized the nobility.
Ah. So you think she might start talking about the church?
Yes, I'm afraid she might. I dread to think how that might end up. Henry, you must warn her against that. She must show humility before the Inquisitor, and the wisest course would be to admit to being wrong. She's rather stubborn, but perhaps she'll listen to you.
But the Inquisitor said no one's allowed to see her.
No one except the Inquisitor's own men. You'll just have to think something up. I'm afraid Johanka's fate is mainly in your hands now. I'm relying on you.
Farewell.
Adela, the Inquisitor is going to try Johanka in court.
Oh, Lord. I hope she's acquitted. I was absolutely devastated when they took her away.
I need people to speak in her defense, and I'd like to ask you to do it.
I don't want to go there. Really. I'm afraid of that Inquisitor. But you helped me, and so did Johanka. It's only right that I should try and help her. But what am I supposed to say there? I'm just a simple village about these things.
That doesn't matter. You just be yourself. It should be enough to talk about all the good Johanka does here, and how she helps others. I'll send for you if you're needed.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
I won't get any sleep. Good day to you.
I need something from you, sir. I suppose you heard that Johanka was locked up by the Inquisitor and is facing charges of heresy.
I did, and it's most disturbing news.
What you might not know is that he's agreed that I can defend her at the trial.
You? Do you even know what to say?
Sure I know. It'll turn out just fine. Trust me. But I need you to testify at the court. In Johanka's defense, of course.
Naturally. You don't think I could just sit here and do nothing? Besides, the bishop has already insisted that I appear before the court.
Oh. All right.
One moment. I apologize if I was a little hasty. This whole affair has left me anxious. I appreciate that you want to defend her. However, I don't think it would have any effect. No offense, but I don't think you'll be able to achieve anything in court. I'm afraid the Inquisitor will judge as he sees fit, whatever anyone says. But I have an idea how you could help.
Oh? How's that?
Flee. With Johanka, of course.
You might be right. But how? The bishop won't let anyone see Johanka.
Johanka is being held at the rat house, isn't she? You could pass yourself off as one of the Inquisitor's men, get in there at night, and escape with her.
I don't know. Sounds very risky. If I were caught, Johanka would be condemned, and me along with her.
Think about it. But whatever you decide, if Johanka comes to any harm, you'll have me to answer to. I'm very fond of her, and her of me, and I don't want anything to happen to her, understand? But if everything ends well, I'll show you my gratitude, I assure you. God be with you.
Master Bailiff, Inquisitor Yaroslav is going to try Johanka.
I know.
Oh? What did he want to know?
Various things. Like how things are here, whether people are honest, whether we observe the fest days, and so forth. And then he asked about Johanka, about what she preaches, whether people come to listen to her and that.
That's interesting. Thanks for telling me. Was he just asking questions, or does he want you to testify before the court?
Yes, he did ask me to testify, and I'm none too happy about it.
I see. And what are you going to say about her?
It depends what I'm asked, but there's not much I can say. I don't know Johanka very well. She seems virtuous and self-sacrificing to me. She's never done anything wrong, and no one here ever had a cross word to say about her. Until recently. Maybe some gossip about her and Sir Sebastian. But I've heard similar talk about half the women folk here.
Now that's just idle gossip. Johanka is a virtuous girl.
True. But then there's that preaching of hers. Folk have been falling out. They're split according to whether they believe Johanka or not. I don't know quite what to think of it myself. But I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'll wait and see what the learned bishop has to say.
Couldn't you add something good to your testimony for Johanka?
What? Are you trying to bribe me?
Good lord, no. I wouldn't... What I was trying to say, rather clumsily, is that I'd be very glad if you were to speak on Johanka's behalf. Because she really deserves it.
Well, I'll overlook your clumsiness then.
Thank you, Master Bailiff.
God be with you.
God's blessings.
I need your help with something. I'm sure you've heard. Johanka was locked up by the Inquisitor.
Who hasn't? The whole of Sasso is talking about it.
I'd like to ask you to appear before the court and say something in Johanka's defense.
I can't say I'm keen on going there. But Johanka helped me. And you did too. I think it's only right that someone should say something good about her.
Ah, thanks, Guta. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Father, the Inquisitor has had Johanka thrown in jail.
I know, son.
He's planning a hearing.
Rightly so.
What do you think about it, then?
As I say, it's a good thing that the matter is being investigated. Who knows what these dreams are that she speaks of? And her words are only putting ideas in people's heads and leading them astray. It's creating a chasm between the people and the church and leading them away from the true teaching left to us by Christ.
But Johanka is only saying what the Virgin Mary has told her.
And how do you know the Virgin is really talking to her?
Well, I believe she's telling the truth.
Ah, but you can't be sure, can you? Do you really think a girl from the stable knows God's teaching better than the church? Better than the generations of church fathers and learned scholars since the time of Christ? With all the evil that's already going on in this province,
Christ also came from a...
there's no comparison. Enough of this. He will then resolve.
If you say so, Father.
May the Lord watch over you.
God save you, Henry.
Rare merchandise from all over the world. The relics and saints and pieces of cloth.
Garlic soup for the winter.
I'm here about Johanka.
You're that fella of hers, are you?
No. I'm just a friend of hers. Matthias is her fella.
Huh. God knows how many she has.
I heard you invited Bishop Yaroslav to come and dine with you?
Yes, so what? Bishop Yaroslav is an esteemed visitor to Sassau, and it's only fitting he should be suitably hosted by devout burghers.
And what did you talk about?
What we discussed with the Monsignor is
What have you got against Johanka?
nothing. The question is, what has she got against us?
What?
She turns up here and tries to tell us how to live our lives. Says the Virgin Mary whispers to her in the night. Yeah, I'm sure. To a simple village wench. I'd like to know who's really putting those ideas in her head. She's just getting people all worked up. Men, especially. Coming around here with her nonsense. Sassau is a decent, orderly place, I'll have you know. We don't want any trouble here. All this talk about hellfire and the end of the world. God have mercy. No one is interested in what she has to say. All they want is some spectacle. She ought to have thought twice before she started. Not that she wasn't warned.
What do you mean, warned?
As I said, She was told.
Tell me everything you know. I'm sure the bailiff will want to...
Who do you think you are? Clear off!
Take care.
God's bless. God be with you.
Goodman Pavel, you're still here. That's a relief. I was afraid I'd miss you.
Yes, yes, still here, but not for long. I had some business to deal with, but what was it you wanted?
You might have heard that Johanka was arrested by the Inquisitor and is facing trial.
Indeed.
I'd like to ask you to speak to the court in Johanka's defense.
Of course, Henry. You have my word. And the word of a burgher of Colleen ought to mean something. But to speak in defense of someone accused of heresy is no small matter. What do you want me to say?
The same thing you told me. That it was a sacred sign that you happened to be nearby when Johanka was speaking, and so on.
True. I'll tell the bishop that. You can rest assured.
Thank you very much. Please wait here a few more days for the court to convene, then I'll send for you.
All right. For Johanka's sake, I'll wait. Goodbye.
God be with you, Henry.
Salt, drink the bloody tears of Saint James.
Hey! Back trouble? God save you. Good boy. What's the matter, laddie? Need to shit?
Hey, clear off. No one's allowed to talk to Bishop Yaros.
I apologise.
Go then. Take care. Are you quite well?
I want to talk about your hanker.
All right.
I'm sure the bishop wouldn't mind if you had to go and answer a call of nature, and if it were a nice long call, there'd be a few groschen in it for you.
Don't even try.
Come on now. Your hanker is my friend. She has no one else but me. The Inquisitor will surely take her away, and I'll never see her again. I just want to say goodbye to her before she disappears forever. What would you do in my place?
Well, since you put it that way, but I'd be taking a big risk, disobeying the bishop's orders. He'd have my head for it.
Of course. I wouldn't expect you to put yourself at risk without a reward.
All right, go on then. But make it quick, eh?
For sure. Thanks a lot. I owe you.
Take care.
Johanka, are you alright?
Yes, Henry. I'm fine. I'm glad to see you.
I spoke to the Inquisitor. He wants to put you on trial.
I know. It's all in God's hands now.
No, it's not. I mean, it is, of course. But the Bishop has allowed me to defend you.
You want to defend me? Thank you, Henry, that's very kind of you. But you needn't bother. Our Lady won't let anything bad happen to me. I am her instrument, and I am completely in her hands. Everything that's happening is her sacred will.
But I won't stand by with my arms folded. You need someone to testify for you. As I said, I will defend you.
If you insist. Maybe it's the will of the Virgin that you came to me. So be it then.
About that trial,
Yes, the trial.
I'll get some people who will testify for you in court. But Brother Nicodemus is worried you'll say things that will make the Inquisitor angry. Please don't do that. You have to talk to him respectfully, answer his questions with humility, and not say anything to annoy him. And don't say anything against the church or priests. Please.
I'll say only what the Blessed Virgin wants me to say.
Johanka, please. I don't think the Inquisitor is so bad.
You too now.
I've nothing to do with him.
You don't believe me anymore.
I do, Johanka, I believe you. But in court, you must speak reasonably, prudently. A lot depends on it. Maybe even your life.
I appreciate your concern for me, Henry, really, I do. But you must understand. I can't deny that the Virgin Mary visits me, or what she wants to tell us. Not now. After everything that's happened, I can't. Otherwise, she won't heal Matthias.
But you have to consider yourself and what's good for you. Surely you don't want to be convicted of heresy? That won't do anyone any good, neither you nor Matthias.
I've already told you. Everything is in the hands of the Blessed Virgin. I will accept with humility the fate she grants me.
Oh, Sacra. This is going to be a right mess. What did Bishop Yaroslav ask you about?
All sorts of things. Like how the Virgin Mary visits me. What she shows me. Actually, he was really quite pleasant. He asked me about Skalitz, whether I go to church, and a lot of other things. And in the end, he told me I mustn't speak in public again about the visitations and that. But I couldn't obey an order like that. The Blessed Virgin is testing me, and I have to do what she asks, no matter who or what stands in the way.
I'd say he wasn't too happy about that.
No. He came there with his men, dispersed the people, and had me arrested and locked up here.
I went to Ujits, like you asked.
That's good, Henry. I hope you purged yourself of your sins.
I did the pilgrimage of penance, like you said. And in the church, I begged the Virgin Mary for forgiveness.
And she will bless you, Henry. You're a good man. Remember that. And don't stray into wrongdoing again.
I won't. I made a donation to the church, too. And the parish priest there, Father Godwin, he was asking about you.
Was he? Well, what did you tell him?
Oh, just about everything that's going on and the things you were saying. He was quite moved by it, to tell the truth. He even gave me some writings.
You see? Maybe Our Lady is giving you a sign too.
Johanka, I really don't think this is... We can flee. We'll run far from...
No! The Blessed Virgin led... I won't run away like a criminal.
I spoke to Johanka.
And did you manage to convince her?
I'm afraid not. She's stubborn. She says she answers only to the Blessed Virgin.
Oh dear, Henry. That's not good at all. What about her family? Doesn't she have a relative she might listen to?
No. None of them survived the raid on Skalitz.
She has no one at all left in the world? Poor child.
Witnesses can be summoned for Johanka's trial. So I wanted to ask you if you give a testimony. Maybe some learned speech in her defense?
I'd be glad to do it. Johanka deserves my help. Such testimonies could carry a lot of weight. You should try and get as many as you can.
What actually happened here?
Johanka told me you went to Auschwitz.
Yeah?
The Inquisitor showed up here not long after you left. Apparently he heard about Johanka's preaching some. He had her brought to him and spent a long time trying to discourage her from what she was doing. But then she went out again to preach about her visions outside of town. But before she even started, the Inquisitor turned up with Fabian and the guards. Then he warned the people there that Johanka was spreading heresy and undermining the church's authority, and forbade them to listen to her.
That's all? Didn't you speak to the Inquisitor?
No, actually I didn't.
Aha.
Thanks.
It sounds pretty serious.
It is. I'm afraid it could be very serious indeed.
What exactly does an Inquisitor do?
The Inquisition is a papal institution that deals with heresy. The Inquisitors have all sorts of powers.
And what can he do to Johanka?
I'm not entirely sure. These legal issues are very complicated, but he could certainly excommunicate her, and maybe even sentence her to death.
Who is this Bishop Yaros?
I've never heard of him before, but the...
Sarepta? Where's that, Moravian?
No, it's far, far away, near the Holy Land. He got the title from the Holy Father himself.
Titular bishop? Like he's not a real one?
It's, let's say, an honorary title. And since a titular bishop has no diocese to oversee, like ordaining other prelates, for example, to maintain succession through the centuries down from the time of Christ and his apostles.
Who is this Bishop Yaroslav?
I've never heard of him before.
Sarepta?
No, he got the...
And this bishop?
Sarepta. Now it's just a titular bishopric.
Quiet!
Do you believe Johanka is really being visited by the Virgin Mary?
Well, yes, Henry, I do. She doesn't sound like herself at all. Frankly, I can't think of any other explanation. Within the bounds of this world.
What actually happened here?
Johanka told me...
Yeah?
The apparently had her brought, but then she... But before...
It sounds pretty serious.
It is. May the Lord watch over you.
Monsignor, I've heard of various irregularities in the province that might be of interest to you.
Very good, my son. A good Christian certainly shouldn't conceal such things. Please.
That's all, Monsignor.
All right, Henry. Thank you.
Why did you have Johanka imprisoned?
I talked to her for a long time about the things she was saying and about her convictions. Johanka chose. Obviously, I couldn't turn a blind eye to that kind of disobedience.
But what's so bad about what Johanka has been saying?
Look here. It's simply unacceptable that anyone at all should come along and stand up in the market square and preach about God's will or how he or she interprets it. God gave us his teachings. But understanding those teachings is no simple matter. It demands learning, time, What Johanka has been saying is dangerously close to heresy.
I understand, my lord.
Good. I'm glad I got through to you.
Monsignor, Johanka is just a simple village.
They are. The mission of the Inquisition, and however trivial...
What broader significance?
No offense, but these things can't easily be explained to an uneducated boy like you. Still, I'm pleased that you take an interest. Unfortunately, I don't have time for this now. After all, it is also our duty to guide others through the labyrinth of this world. God be with you.